Yeah. All right, we're live.
Woo!
Guess what? You see my face. It's 2 o'clock on a Sunday. How's
2 o'clock. One
everybody?
o'clock my time.
You're right. You're right. I gotta respect other time zones. I gotta say
There
area.
you go.
It's that too.
Uh-oh, there it goes too.
All of it. Respect it all. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is looking good, feeling good, and smelling good this day. It is Sunday, January the 10th, 2021. How is everybody's year going so far? This is a brand new season, brand new year, brand new opportunities, and we are here to have a good time today on this live. So, let me see. Yep, there we go. Making sure my sound is okay and everything. So everybody share this thing, like this thing, come on in the room and let me know how you're doing. Let me know that you're here. When you get in here, say hello, drop your name, and where you watching from? Where you at? I am in South Carolina. My friend here is in Texas, and we are glad to be on here today just to share some space, hold some space, give out some good vibes, hopefully some good laughs today. She over there jamming. I don't know. She got
I
a song in her
am.
head or what?
I'm I'm sitting. I'm actually on my Facebook. I'm trying to find it so I can share, so I can do a watch
Okay.
party. My
Well,
end,
I
but
ain't
this Facebook be doing the
they trip.
most.
They be tripping. They
They be
do.
tripping
Facebook trips every now and then, every now and again.
every
But
now
we
and
are
again.
grateful to Facebook for just existing so that we can
Thank
communicate
you,
with people we otherwise
Facebook.
wouldn't communicate with. So,
Exactly.
so how are you doing today, LaShawn?
I am wonderful. I am well. How about
Yes.
you? I'm glad to be here. I'm still trying to find it so I can do it live. That's why my
Let
attention.
me see. Let me see. I'm gonna
Let me
share it
see.
with you in if I can share it with you in Messenger. I'm
That
gonna
may
do
oh okay, here, wait a minute. Here it is.
that.
Here it is. Here it is. Let me see.
Okay, cool.
Share. There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so let me share
Sweet.
it to my personal page. Share it
What's
to
up,
the
Ron King?
group.
How you doing today, baby? I hope you're having a brilliant, amazing day.
All
Oh,
right,
I
all
know
right. I'm here.
I am. Sean
I'm all.
is
I'm here. I'm
Sean.
all. Huh?
Do you prefer Sean or Sean?
Sean. Sean is
Sean.
fine.
Perfect, because
Yep.
that's what keeps trying to come out, and I was trying to be proper.
No, don't have to be proper here.
No
Sean is
problem,
good.
no problem. All right,
What up,
hello
Ryan?
everybody. Yeah, woo woo, running house.
Ryan in the
We're glad
house.
to have y'all here. I see some people popping on. I see about 6 eyes. So hello, say hello as you come in. Let us know how your year is starting out so far. We're glad to have you here, and it's so good to be here every Sunday at 2 o'clock. So I have an amazing guest, and I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to say. I had a little list, but I'm too excited, and I'm ready to go ahead and start talking. Because we was talking before we got on, and I'm like, if we don't stop talking, I'm just gonna hit live early because this is good. This is good. You know it's good if you're having a good conversation before you even hit the live button,
Oh yeah, oh yeah. In the green room, you're having a good
Yeah, so
conversation.
we ready to rock and roll today. So, listen. So, first of all, I don't know if anyone is familiar with Clubhouse, but we have both been introduced to Clubhouse, and it's been an amazing experience. And
Yes.
we have such amazing conversations on Clubhouse. And through that, LaShawn started a room where the topic was change your inner story, change your
Mm-hmm.
life. So
Yes.
we spoke about this last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're on Clubhouse, make sure that you follow us both. With she's having another room this coming Friday,
This coming
10 a.m.
Friday, 10 a.m. Central Time.
Central Standard Time. Absolutely. So I
Oh, and
really
let's say
enjoyed
what the topic is going to be on that. The topic for the Clubhouse event coming up this Friday at 10 a.m. is going to be: do you need to have a marriage to have a great relationship? Is a marriage necessary for a great relationship? That's what we're going to be discussing on the Clubhouse. So
it.
definitely check us out.
Yes. So Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 Eastern Standard Time. So y'all be there. Be there. It's gonna be
Be
good.
there. It's going
Be
to be
there.
good.
Buenos dias. I know that's Raymond.
When
I ain't even got to look. I know that's Raymond. That's my brother from another mother. All
oh
right.
yeah,
So as I was saying, last Friday, the topic on Clubhouse was change your inner story, change your life. I can see the sun coming. Y'all about to blind me in a minute, but it's okay.
It's
Um,
okay. It's all good.
it's okay. I just be looking like the beam of light that I am.
Yes, yes.
So we were talking about change your inner story, change your life. And I really enjoyed that topic, and I really wanted to expound upon it today. And
Okay.
just for those who were not able to be able to hear such good nuggets, I just wanted to revisit that topic. Change your inner story, change your life. And I just took that same concept and created the topic today, creating your own life.
Mm-hmm.
How many of us are aware of the power that we truly have to create our own lives? Now, I know Ray Mills out there in the crowd, Ron's out there in the crowd. Tell us a little something about what y'all have been doing here lately to create your own life. So with that being said, LaShawn, when you think of creating your own life or someone
Mm-hmm.
creating their own life, what do you think are some of the things that they should be aware of in this process? Just because I feel like a lot of people get a little jaded on that fact that they can, because they don't see the things that they are strongly desiring. So they're desiring all these things and they're saying, well, I'm thinking about what I want all the time and this, but it's not showing up. Nothing's going right for me. What is something that you'll say right now to just help them slow that negative momentum down that they have going?
Well, well, one of the first things that I would say is that if you're desiring a lot of things and it's not, it's not aligning, right? And that's not to say to desire something today and it's supposed to come today. You gotta,
Right.
but part of it is you're not really desiring you, right? You have to first get to know you better. Now I know that may sound not right, right? It seems like, okay, I'm supposed to know me. But it's
Right.
just the reality of it is most of us don't know ourselves, right?
Right.
I'm going to speak from a personal standpoint. I did not know myself. I did not know that when I looked at myself that I wasn't loving myself, right? So if I'm not loving myself, but yet I have desires, who desires are those, right? Because if I have desires for a person that I love, which is me, then I'm going to know what it is that I'm desiring. I'm going to be truthful with myself. A lot of times what happens is we end up desiring what the society has told us to desire. We end up desiring what we think we're supposed to have, right? You're supposed to have a lot of money. You're supposed to have, whatever it is you think that you're supposed to have. So I would tell anybody that's feeling like, okay, I got all of these desires and nothing has happened, just stop. Just stop and get to know yourself. Build a relationship with self, right? And in this relationship building with self, let me tell you something. I think I said it on the Clubhouse. Of all the people in the world that I could trust, I found when I started to build a relationship with myself, I was the one person that I did not trust, right? And I had to start to change that, and I had to learn how to become my biggest confidant. So if something in me says do something, I don't say, "Ooh, Sean, you're so bad, you're so this." I'm not saying I don't still have those experiences, but what I try to do is I try to be good with the sensations that run through me, right? I try to be, I try to listen to myself. So if I say, okay, if Carrie asks me to do something and I say, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be like, well, should I do it? Should I not do it? And that's not to say not to analyze, but I think what happens is we dismiss ourselves, right? It's like, well, instead of me doing what I believe or what I think is best, I'm trying to do what Big Mama told me. I'm trying to do what cousin and society told me. And then I think what happens is that you have a disconnect between you and who you are. Because remember, you can only be who you are, right? So if there's frustration, that means that there's some kind of resistance within you. Right? So you're trying to get rid of or reduce the resistance. So when I started my process of creating myself, I had to first acknowledge the resistance. Right? And where does this resistance come from? And then I had to start to deconstruct it. Right? So it's a total construction process. And then that's when you start to really create or co-create your life. right? And
Absolutely.
it's not an instantaneous, it's
Right.
constant, right? The
Right.
fact that I am on your show
Mm-hmm.
talking to you
Mm-hmm.
is a creation by ShonSpeaks.
Right.
It
Absolutely.
really is.
Yeah, it is. Because you could have said no, and that would
Because I
have been
could have said no.
a completely different creation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love
Exactly.
that. Let's see. Okay, I see. I think this right mail aligning my thoughts with the vibration of how it feels to have it as my reality, making the energy strong and powerful to attract it to me. Absolutely, and we lose ourselves trying to be what others want us to be. And I have,
Exactly.
first experience with that. Yeah, who doesn't? If you think you don't, just go back to your mama saying, "Don't touch the stove." You could, but you were taught what not to do, what to do by people who cared about you or did not care about you, but you still had to follow those rules, those regulations, that curfew, that language, that religion, that all these things. So when we come into our adult lives, we went through so many processes of being groomed by society and social agents like school and media, social media or TV, regular crazy media, that we have developed so many ideas that wasn't something that we cultivated ourselves by our experience, but they were cultivated by the things we were taught and told and given through different avenues of education, whether that be
Absolutely.
your parents, whether that be your church, whether that be anything that you decided to gather. Now, life is the same process when you become aware of what you want. It's just that now you realize the power to choose what you gather instead of just gathering. It's a very
Exactly.
intentional type of gathering. Like no farmer goes to a garden to pick things that they didn't go out there to pick. You don't just go up to the corn and start picking the corn when you really want to cook okra. That's just
Exactly.
not what you do. But as a kid, think about a 2-year-old running to a garden. They just gonna run through everything and pick everything that they see. But when we come into this awareness, this maturity, this spiritual maturity, that we can see everything is for the picking, you be very careful what you pick because negativity is something that we choose, something that we pick. Because, like Abraham Hicks says, and I think it's the best analogy, just think of a stick. Which end do you want to hold? Which end do
That's
you want
it.
to hold? And at any point, you can switch it. Just hold the end
Exactly.
of the stick. If everything's horrible, find one thing that's positive. And it can just be, I have my life. I have my life. I am grateful for my life. I have my life. And if that's the only thing that you have to hold on to that is positive in your life, if you hold on to that thing, it will amplify itself in your life. And that is a part of creation
That's a
because you
part of it.
realize the power and you intentionally chose that thing to focus on.
And see,
That
and
was
that's what think about that the word intention, Carrie.
right.
It's intention. See what a lot of times what happens with the intentions and our desires is that we're not crediting ourselves
Right.
with the source of the intention.
Right.
Right? When you start to create your own life, you have an intention and you're not looking at the outer world to say, okay, is this okay, world? Is it okay for me to wear my hair in twists? No. All
Mm-hmm.
right. I'm the source of the intention.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then when I'm the source of the intention, I'm now responsible for the intention. I'm
Mm-hmm.
responsible to make sure that I feed the intention,
Right.
that I give this intention information that's needed for it to grow. Right.
Right.
I can remember years ago, and probably wasn't that really that long ago, I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to be a writer. I did. You can ask anybody that knows me personally, that knows me back in it. I've always wanted to be a writer since I was a kid. I can remember writing my first little book and bringing it to my mom and dad. Like it was, I can remember that, right?
Yeah.
And so I can totally remember wanting to write. But as I got older, right, you go to
Uh-huh.
school, then it's like,
Yeah.
your subject verb agreement isn't good enough,
Right.
right? So then that plants the seed to make you feel like you can't talk. Or, I stutter sometimes when I talk. Oh, so of course, then I decide I started making a little money. I was like, I'm going to go to a speech person to help me get rid of my Southern slang, right? I did
Mm-hmm.
all of those things trying to be what the out of world
Yeah.
said I needed to be, right? And
Right.
so as time passed, I was like, okay, I keep saying I want to be a writer, but yet I'm not writing. And one day I was listening to Seth Godin. I never forget it. I never forget it. I
Oh,
never forget it. Seth Godin,
okay.
Godin.
Okay.
And he was being interviewed, or he was talking. I can't remember exactly what it was. But he said so many times people will come to him and say that they cannot write.
Mhm.
And so he'll say, well, if you cannot write, show me what you've written. And then they'll say, well, I haven't written it. I can't write.
Right.
And he'll
Right.
say, well, he says, when you start to write, show me what you've written, right?
Right.
And then I'll tell you if you can write or not.
Right.
And he says, and what happens with a lot of people is they'll cut themselves off before they even start writing, which was me,
Right.
right? Or they'll get lost in trying to perfect the writing. And this is me right here in comparison to others. Because I have this thing that I'm working on
Right.
called the comparison trap. That'll get you
Right.
stuck. But he
Uh-huh.
said this one thing that stuck with me, right? Because I kept saying, oh, I want to do a blog. Oh, I want to do a podcast, but never did anything. Listening to him, he says, there comes a time that when you are a writer, you have to decide that you are a writer. And then you have to start to write. And then you have to revise your writing. But there comes a point where you stop writing, or in whatever you can substitute writing for whatever. But there comes a point when you stop writing and you have to ship it. And shipping it, the way I heard it, my interpretation was sharing it with the world. And right then and there, I heard that. I went to bed in the middle of the night. I woke up. I said, Sean, you got to ship it. I couldn't think of nothing else but ship it, ship it, ship it. So I got on GoDaddy. Ship it. I had to ship it. I got on GoDaddy. I said, well, what you going to call this is all in the middle of the night, y'all. I got on GoDaddy. I said, well, you're going to secure a website. You're going to pay for a website. What you going to call it? I was like, I don't know. So I started doing searches. Then I bought the website, the domain. Then I said, okay, Sean, this is me with my credit card, put it in the door. I said, now, Sean, if you hit purchase on this, you have got to ship it within 24 hours. This has got to be a live site in 24 hours. I said, and this is what I told myself. I said, otherwise, I never want you to mention to yourself writing again.
Woo! That's a tall order there.
And then this is what happened. So I paid for the domain. I felt like, phew, I did something. Went to sleep. I forgot the next day that my daughter had lacrosse tournament all day the next day. So I'm sitting here thinking, how am I going to put this website together? Because I only gave myself 24 hours.
Right.
So I go to her lacrosse tournament. In between the games, I brought my iPad. In between the games, I'm sitting in the car and I'm writing. Right, I am writing. I'm writing what the first blog is going to be. I'm writing the content for the website itself. I'm writing because I had decided that if I am going to listen to anybody right now, it is going to be with my wants, and I want to be a writer. And what I realized now, looking back on that, what I was doing was my desire to be a writer all those years was an emptiness that only I could feel, right? It was an indication to me that it was time for me to merge with who I am, right? Right. Instead of it being an empty place of, I want to be a writer, but I'm not writing. No, I am a writer, so I don't do nothing but show up and write, right? Because I don't have, I can't,
right.
All I got to do is write, right? And guess what happens? That eliminates there being an emptiness.
Right.
There can't be an emptiness if I'm doing me.
Right.
And doing me is being a writer.
Where is my speaking right properly? My goodness. If y'all hadn't shared this yet, you better tag somebody, share it. Call your mama. Y'all call your mama. Your mama needs everybody better ship it today. We're gonna ship it. We're gonna ship something today. It doesn't matter what you ship today. If there's a book that you wanted to write, start writing. If it's the weight you want to lose, go walking. If it's the habit you want to stop, don't you do it. Don't you do it. Like today is the day to start intentional creation process of your life. Like, we don't
Intentional.
have any time to spare here. Like, I mean, even though life goes on after death, do you want to leave unfinished business? Don't you want to see what it really feels like to just do what you want to do? Just, just don't you want to feel that? Who doesn't want to feel that? We all have like that one thing we want to say to that person. We have that one, vacation that we want to take. We want that job that we want to go after. We have that job we want to quit. Only thing between you and the things that you desire is the actions that it takes to become that person. If
Mm-hmm.
you see yourself as being a writer, you have to write.
You have to write. You have to write. Let me say something, Carrie. It applies to. It's not. I use writing because that was
Right,
personal to me.
exactly.
It was personal to me. But it applies to every. And I'm finding that it applies to every aspect of my life. It applies to,
Mhm.
right. It
Exactly.
applies to you know one of the things that when you start to realize that you are a creator of your life, you operate from a place of, if this is something, when I have a want, right, we call it a want or a desire,
Right.
that is a indication to me that it's time for me to merge into being, right? Because there's a lot of things in life I don't want, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I have no desire to be, let's say, the president of the United States. There's no desire there.
Have a slight desire.
Okay. But hey, when you have a slight desire, I would say you may need to merge. You need to merge. You
Word.
got my vote. You got my vote.
All right.
You got my vote. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of things in life you have no desire for, right?
Right.
You have zero desire for. So a lot of times you have to look at your desires are things that you keep saying, I want, I want, I want. And it's usually not desire, because desire now is my power word. When I desire to be something, I use the word desire instead of want, right? But usually
Right.
my default word is want, right? Because I always
Right.
used to ask the question to people when people come to my office, especially because I do a lot of divorces, and then I'll ask them, I say, oh, what is it that you want, right? So I always start people off with, what do you want? Because I think what do you want is a roadmap. I call it the brainstorming session of knowing yourself. Start
Right.
off with what it is that you want, and then that way you can decide, is this your want? Is this you? Or is this what you're supposed to do? See, I realized, like, for me, I went and got all of these degrees because they said that this is what they told me, right? At least this is what I heard. If you go to school, get good grades, you will arrive to this great life,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so I said, okay, I'm going to be a good little girl. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get good grades. I'm going to get the job. And then I got to the life and I was like, please tell me this is more to this, right? Somebody lied to me. Somebody lied. Somebody lied. Wait a minute. Got to be more than this, right?
Right.
And so, but I think that's because somebody else told you what their apogee of life was. And they didn't tell us that this was their story.
Right.
And that their story is not the blueprint for my story, right? And so what happens is we have all of these people, we're all groomed to go after this one blueprint, right? Because somebody said it was the apogee of all lives, and it's just not true. It may have been the apogee for some people. Going to school, getting good grades, and getting a job was the be all end all, right?
Right. Right.
But that's not the case for everybody else, and it may not be the case for you. And the only way for you to know that is for you to get in touch with yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And one of the things that I've been learning is, when you do, like you said, when figure out what you want, and from that state of want or desire, really reflect before you put your energy into it. Because if you put your energy into it before you have asked yourself those very important questions, is it me? Is it anything other than me? That's the only two options. It's either me or it's not. Because it doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter why. If it's not you, then it's not the right path, the right want, the right desire. So in that centering space, in that knowing, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
in that knowing that you want something or that you desire something, consider all the factors before you launch. Because if you start manifesting from a point which is not from your unique blueprint, it's not who you are, you're going to get what you want, you're going to get what you desire, and you're still going to be miserable. You're still going to be unhappy and think, why isn't it happening for me?
Mm-hmm.
It is happening for you. But the problem is you're getting exactly what you're asking because you're asking from a place that's not uniquely you.
Exactly. You just all you did was create an additional resistance, and then you got more resistance because you created the resistance. Now you didn't intentionally go, I want to create resistance in my life, right? You didn't do that. Resistance, come resistance. But that's what happens because if I look back at my life, it was like I had a lot of frustration. And the frustration was I took responsibility for creating the frustration. I didn't blame. Now, even though I'll say society and the conditioning, etc., right? I don't blame them anymore, right? Whoever the proverbial them is, I pass no blame. I take 100% responsibility, 100% responsibility. And the reason I take that responsibility is because as long as I'm responsible, I can respond to it. Right? I can make some adjustment in my life, some adjustment in my action, some adjustment in my thinking that will contribute to a modified behavior, to a modified outcome, right? And I'm not worried about the outcome. I'm just saying I want to contribute something different to the possibility of the outcome. And so, but I have to take responsibility.
Right. Yeah. There was one thing the last few days that I just keep saying to myself is I assume the responsibility of being the creator of my life. I do assume responsibility for being the creator of my life. And if you say that to yourself enough times in one day, you'll start to see, you become aware of little things that you're doing that is none of your business. Because you're too busy trying to create little pieces of everybody else's life. And their life is for them to create. So it always puts it back on you. It always reverts it back to you. I am the creator of my own life. And like I have said this, I don't know how many times. Thank you, Angel Johnson, for bringing it to my attention. But she saw us. She don't even have time to bring it up. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She saw a TikTok of a lady who said, if I'm over here minding my own business, and you're over here minding my business, who is minding your business? And I had to twist that and really take that from me because it's not that I don't really see, and most of us don't. We don't really see sometimes a lot of people minding our business. But one thing I did notice is that I was wasting a lot of time minding other people's business when I should have been minding mine. So I have no right to complain if my life is not looking the way I want it to look, because I'm so unfamiliar with it, because I've been too focused on everybody else's life.
Let me tell you something. That is so true. And let me tell you what I did. One of the things that I did so that I could stop minding other people's business, so I could stop telling people, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Is for an entire year. I took one of these. I was trying to find the actual one I did, but I took a journal book like this. And every day I wrote in it, not necessarily to journal like a journal. What I decided to do was that I was going to write in that journal every day anything that came up in my mind, like anything that if I had the time I was going to write it. So I'm giving, and this is how crazy this is, so that you won't think that when you're doing this process there's any craziness. And even if you want to call me crazy, I'm fine. I don't have a problem with it. But I was writing in the journal. One day I was sitting in my bedroom, and I looked up at the ceiling, and literally in the ceiling it looked like a duck. So because in the ceiling I thought I saw a duck, I wrote in my journal the little thing. I kind of, and I'm not a drawer, right? But I wrote what looked like a duck, and I said, saw this in the ceiling. Just wrote it, right? Then I, and then wrote something else. So as time passed, probably I was maybe 8 or 9 months into the year. And I started to look back on what I was writing in the journal. And I started to see evidence of something as simple as a duck, something as simple as a rainbow, or I thought about a rainbow, something as simple as a postcard, right? Or if somebody wrote a quote, or if I got on Facebook and maybe if I heard you say something and I was like, oh, or you wrote a quote, and I'm like, oh, that's a quote, right? I wrote it down. I did not, if something I heard or something I thought made me say, oh, even if I disagreed, I wrote it down. Right. I wrote it down. Right. And what ended up happening after the course of a year of doing that, I started to see how I was creating things in my life, and I had evidence of it, right? Because everybody I want to have evidence. That was evidence, right? So if I wrote down, I want to have, I think I put like my balance of one of my student loans, right? I put the balance down at the beginning, and then I said, okay, I want to have this amount of this student loan paid off by the end of the year, right? And I wrote it down, and every month I was like, okay, now am I going to be on track to pay this down by the end? What do I need to? So I was like, oh, now if I keep paying this amount, it's not going to be paid down. So what do I need to make? What adjustments do I need to make? Right. But then at the end of the year, when it was paid off, right, I did that. Now, a part of most people's problem is in taking responsibility for creating their life is that we love to have someone to blame.
Oh, yeah.
And this process removes anybody to blame, right? It doesn't give you your mama to blame, your daddy to blame, your husband, your girlfriend. It doesn't give you God to blame, whatever your religious proclivities may be. You don't have nobody to blame.
Right.
You have to put that mirror in front of your face. And you have to say, you are responsible. If I'm waking up and my day isn't full of what I like to do, then that means that I filled my day with a bunch of stuff that I thought I had to do because other people said it. Now, I'm not saying drop the ball.
Okay, John, if I didn't think my microphone would break, I'd drop it. Like, oh. And right. Everybody who's out there commenting, I see you, I love you, I appreciate you, but this is good. And I just don't want to divert, but I just wanted to insert apology for not posting any of them. But believe you me, I see them, and I will be responding to them because they're good. I'm good. Sean's good. Continue, Sean.
Hey, no, I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's not anybody's fault. That's all I'm saying. And when it's not no longer anybody's fault, you take responsibility. Right. And if you can learn to take responsibility for that what you don't want in your life, now you can start to take full responsibility for that what you do want in your life, right? And so what happens is, I made a decision that, okay, you know what? There's some things that I decided to do because I thought I had to do it, right? And I'm not going to drop the ball on those things, right? But I'm going to start to fill my day a little bit more with more of that's who I am, right? Who I'm choosing to be in this 2021. Right. I'm going to fill my day a little bit more with that. And I think what happens is the more you fill your day with more of who you are. Right. The less you have to worry about filling your day with what other people said you had to be. And and over time, what happens is you gain more time to be you. Right. And sometimes people say, I have an accountability group that I do every week. And it'll be like, Sean, just got so much on your plate to do. And it's like, I realize, okay, for me, there's very little, I'm not saying I don't ever get overwhelmed. That's not what I'm saying. But there's very little overwhelm when you're spending more of your day being you. Because nobody can be me other than me. Yes. If I get overwhelmed, I can tell when I'm overwhelmed, and I can tell why. It's because that's that part of me trying to be who I thought I had to be. Me trying to show up because society said, you a Southern black little girl, you supposed to be this. That's me trying to fit in mold, right? When I remove that, right? So it's like, okay, it don't really take a whole lot of energy to be me. I just got to show up. I breathe ShonSpeaks all day. Right.
Right.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's about filling your day with more of who you are.
Yes, absolutely. Authenticity. Just authenticity. It's so draining to have to consider everybody and everything that you do. Now, I know that's to be meek and to be humble, these are all biblical qualities and all qualities we should all embody. But it should be towards ourselves. Because if we are meek and loving and caring and kind and honest with ourselves, it it just automatically transfers to everybody else because we have embodied ourselves with all of the qualities. But we think that we're supposed to take all the qualities of us and therefore this person. I'm being humble towards this person. I'm being respectful of that person. But if you turn all of those things inward, that's all everybody can get. And it doesn't
Well,
matter if you like them or you don't like them. It's because that's
exactly,
who you are. And that's
exactly.
a big, big difference.
Well, I think it goes to your tick to the girl on the TikTok. When you're minding your
Right.
own business, right? I don't have time, neither do I have energy to mind yours. And if I'm
Right.
minding mine, it automatically provides a default respect to my fellow man, fellow woman,
Amen.
right? So there's disrespect really only occurs because I'm too busy looking at you, not paying attention to me,
And
right?
then you
And
go
so
bump into stuff.
there you go, there
You're
you
looking
go.
at the wrong thing. When you look at
You
the
look
wrong things, you bump into stuff.
Yeah, and what you end up having, you gotta. This is only an awareness dive that you have to take within yourself, right?
Yeah.
If you're not going to be honest with yourself, you can hear what we say, it'll go through one ear and out the other. Because like we were saying, and we were in the green room prior. If I would have heard some of the stuff that I'm hearing now 10 years ago, it would have went through one ear and out of the other. And part of the problem would have been, or part of the reason would have been that I lived my life in a confinement. Now I didn't know it was a confinement, but let's take a circle, right? I lived my life within the circle. And I was a
Okay.
good little girl, or as good as possible, right? Within the circle. Right? Right. In the circle, I was a good little girl
Good.
within the
You know
circle.
what I said.
Yeah, right. But what would happen if you would have, let's say for instance, if I would have heard your content, I would have been like, oh, that sounds good, but there would have been a block automatically, right? Because your content would have said, well, Sean, explore a little bit further from the nucleus, right? And I would have explored, but I would have saw the boundary as a limitation. And I would have thought it was a absolute limitation, meaning it's a limitation that I am not supposed to go past. So even though I would have heard your content, I wouldn't have really received it because there's a block, right? You're trying to tell me I'm limitless, and I'm like, girl, how am I limitless? I see that boundary right there. I can't go past that. I see that boundary,
Yes.
right? Whereas when I started to take in more information that opened me, right? Then when you came in and you gave me information, and because now I'm receptive, now I'm like, okay, well, I'll go a little bit closer to the boundary. Now it's a boundary. Well, but maybe, is it really a boundary? Am I really limitless? And then guess what starts to happen? Then I'm willing to stretch a little bit. And then as I'm stretching, right, because I'm like, well, the boundary stops me. I'm not going to go no further because the boundary is going to stop me. So if I stretch, I'm just going to stretch just so I can prove Carrie wrong. So then I stretch. And then all of a sudden I realized that there was an illusion of confinement. There was never really a boundary, right? I sat here and confined my whole existence. I had all of this resistance. I'm fighting myself. I'm telling myself, you not ugly. Your hair's not cute. You need to do this. You need to do that. I'm doing all of that because I thought I was confined, when in actuality, it was an illusion of confinement. All I needed to do was be me and stretch into who it is that I say, who it is that I choose to be. And then all of a sudden, there is no boundary other than the one that I want to put on myself.
Come on. I like to give credit where credit is due. I'm not going to miss the time to clap now. I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to do it. That's my authentic self. Listen, girl, you bringing the truth today. And the beautiful thing about this type of truth is that it is absolute, only because it is landing on your ears based on your own perspective, based on your own place in life right now,
Exactly.
based on your own experiences. And
Yep.
you can take any part of this that you want, discard what you do not, and
Yep.
that is the moment that you can say that in 2:41 Eastern Standard Time on January the 10th, 2021, you started creating your life deliberately, intentionally, and on purpose.
Exactly.
Can we say
Exactly.
that today? Like,
Exactly.
we need
Look,
to say
one of
that
the
today. Go ahead, sis.
one of the things that when I first started expanding, you get excited. You want everybody to expand with you, right?
Yeah, come on.
Right? Yeah, yes, come on. Get out. Get out. I'm gonna tell you about a dream I had in a minute, but
Oh yeah, oh,
what
hold
happened?
on here. You keep going. I'm gonna let this close this line.
Okay, and ended up what happening was I just lost the train of thought. Let me think about what I was about to say. What point was I making?
Creating our life deliberately, intentionally.
I'll come back to it. I can't. It just the thought lost me, but I'll come back to it. I forgot what we were talking about. Okay, so I was having this dream.
Mm-hmm.
I was in. It was like I was on a beach, and there was this one boat in the water, and in that one boat was like a little light flicker. Maybe it could have been a candle. It could have been a little firelighter thing, and a paddle. And then on a paddle to paddle the boat, because I had to paddle the boat. And I had a choice. I could get in the boat, and it was dark. I could get in the boat, and it was on an ocean, looked like, or I could go back towards society. And so what happened was I'm in the sand, and I was like, okay, I don't want to go in this boat, because if I go in this boat, ain't nothing in this boat but a light thing and a paddle. And I can't see because there's nothing but darkness in the water.
Right.
At least I go back over here. I know there's people over there. So I said, okay, then I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. So I go back over to where I thought civilization was. And I get over there. All I see was people, human beings, walking in a straight line, going up and down, just kind of like that, right? Very systematically, right? And so I'm seeing my family and friends. I was like, I'm going back. So I'm trying to go talk to them. And as I was trying to go talk to the people that I recognized, they were just staring just straight. And they were just walking. And I'm trying to touch on them, like, and they just were staring straight. And I'm looking at them like, okay, can they not see me? Why do I see them, but they can't see me?
Right.
And then I said, okay, well, what do you do, Sean? What do you do? Right? And I was like, okay, well, you could stay in the comfort of these people. Get back in line, because I came from that line. Right? Get back in line. But if I get back in line this time, the problem is I see that I'm not seeing. Right? Because they're not seeing. They're systematically going up and down that line. I said, but this is your choice. You can get back in line. You can pretend, because all I got to do is just do what they're doing. Or you can go get on that boat, take that light fixture, take that paddle, and go off into the deep. Right? And I'm looking at the line. And I'm just like, I can't go back to knowing or to not knowing what I now know. I can't do it. Right? And so I ended up getting into the boat and going off into the darkness. Right? Yes. But when I first had that dream, right, I was like, I woke up like, I gotta get more people gotta think like me, more people gotta da. Right? So I was like, okay, and as I did that, I realized, okay, then that makes me know better, right, than what I'm no longer, that I detached myself from. Right. And so that's when I had to start to work on a new sort of, my message had to be a message of just self-belief, right?
Right.
If for me, I personally let go of religion, right?
Right.
Because religion for me was me walking up and down a line with my eyes open but not seeing,
Right.
right? And I couldn't, and I saw that I was doing that and I couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
Right. And so it's like I have a message of just self. That's why my mission is to help people see with their own eyes, hear with their own ears, act aligned with their own heart so that they can live a life of their greatest dreams. Right.
Yes.
That's my mission and my message. What you choose to hold onto in your process of being you is completely your choice. Because
Yes.
I live from a place of allowance, from expansion, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you're the source and you're the responsible party and you get to make your choice. And so,
Yes.
that's just kind of,
Yes.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, yes, that's where I'm at too. That is, I can relate to that so very, very, very much. So very much. Like I'm like, okay, bring it down, center yourself, and say what you need to say. So when I think about um, just everything that you said, and then the fact of, like, you going into the deep and then seeing these people in line. And one of the analogies I always use is the people that are awake tend to be the person that's the only one that's awake in the house, and you got to tiptoe through the house. You got to close the doors real light. You got to just go through the house. You ain't got to slam the doors to wake everybody else up either, because we typically go on one side or the other. Either we're tiptoeing through the house while they sleep, or we're slamming things around and clanging and banging, trying to wake them up. But what we need to do is just whatever you were going to do, because it's what you decided you needed to do for you. Get up and do it. If what you do makes noise for someone and they wake up, great. If what you do in your life doesn't wake someone up, great. It wasn't their time to wake up. Only thing that you got to focus on is not being quieter than you want to be, and not run around being louder than you should.
Absolutely.
Just go through your life doing your thing,
Yep.
being who you are. And when you do that, you never, ever have to hold on to anything again. Because if my CBS crowd is out there, I want you to just do this in the middle of your house, because this is what we've been doing, and putting your hands down. Because a lot of times we go through life like this, and we're going around thinking, why do people keep putting so much things in my life and in my vortex and in my path? Because you walk around with your hands open, and you're allowing that. If you just walk around and not hold anything, what is meant to be will stay, and what is not be meant to be will leave. And you
Yep.
never have to hold on to anything. So I challenge you today that if people have been telling you to just hold on to this and hold on to that, try letting go of everything except yourself. Because you
Exactly.
don't have to hold yourself. You just need to be yourself and stand in your authenticity and really go with what you feel. We know. I am a firm believer that think of the hardest decision that you have to make right now. The hardest decision you've been toiling with, you've been playing around with it, talking to people about it, asking advice and all these things, whatever that decision is. I bet you know the answer to it. You're
Yep.
just afraid of what someone's going to think, who it's going to affect, who's going to be upset, who may look bad, who may not talk to you anymore. Trust me, baby, if it's something that you genuinely need to do for yourself and you know that it's right, make that decision based on that, because people will surprise you. A lot of times we don't even allow people to give us the reaction. We already got it made up in our minds what they're going to do or how they're going to act or what they're going to say. But what we're doing when we do that, we're not just limiting them, because their path is their path. We're limiting ourselves, because we're
Absolutely.
stripping ourselves of our innate power to make our own decisions, because that is what creates our lives. So if
Exactly.
you're feeling
Exactly.
tension and you're feeling angst and you're feeling resistance, it's because there is a decision somewhere that was made by something other than what your unique being wanted you to make.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The,
Yeah.
the the one thing that's uniquely, and I'm working on that now because that just came into my awareness of getting to know myself more, is the one thing that each of us uniquely have that nobody else have, is our emotional or feeling response to the environment around us. Meaning, if a third person come right now and tap you on the shoulder, and that same third person come and tap me on the shoulder, it may hurt you more than it hurt me.
Right.
Right? Because you're the receiver of that environmental interaction. Right. I'm the receiver of that environmental interaction. Right? So it may hurt me less, but you may bruise, I may not.
Right.
What I think happens in life is somewhere along the line, someone wrote in a book that if you tap on the shoulder, you'll get a bruise. They put it in a book called Bruise. Right? So now when somebody tap, we give this grand interpretation about that tap. And it's only because we're not interpreting about how it actually made us feel. We're utilizing Webster Dictionary, right, that defined it as if that definition was universal. Right. And I think what people, when you're on this journey of trying to create your life, you have got to give space to yourself to be the new interpreter of your environmental interactions, right? Yep. So if something occurs, right, whether your boyfriend break up with you, you're divorced, whatever happens, right, you have got to allow the organic feeling. You have to allow yourself to give it an organic interpretation of that interaction, as opposed to predefining it based upon what others say you're supposed to feel. Let's say, for instance, you're in a new relationship with somebody and somebody doesn't call you. You don't have to necessarily default think that, well, he don't call me in 24 hours, he don't like me. Who made that rule? Who said that? Who made that rule? Nobody made that rule, other than the rule applies to them. So what you have to do now is says, okay, just confine that to you. Don't try to give interpretation to them. Give it to you, right? And then when you start to do that, you'll begin to realize that you are letting other people's words confine your experience instead of letting your experience be the constructor of your life. You may not have a problem with somebody not calling in 24 hours. Don't mean they don't like you. You might not call somebody in 20. That's like, just have to take it like this. It's like if you don't call somebody within 24 hours, did that mean you didn't like them? No. Right? Maybe it was busy. Maybe they're working on the same thing you working on. Well, I don't want to seem too into it, right? Too pushy. I'm gonna wait 24 hours. Or they may have it. I'm gonna wait 72 hours. You don't know.
This is me, so I'm gonna wait 20 minutes too. Right?
Exactly. But this is where, when you start to align with your own desires about how you want your life to be, you're so focused on constructing your desire that you don't have time to worry about other people's whatever, right? Whatever they do, you take it into your process. You say, okay, this is what it means for me, right? But I'm so focused on what I'm trying to construct. I'm going to take whatever they do or don't do. I'm going to still use it as a building block, right? To what I'm trying to construct in my life. So it doesn't matter that you don't respond how I want you to respond. Then I'm going to take your no response as, that no response taught me that maybe I should do this, or this is going to get me yet. So I like to use different words now, right? It's yet, right? Okay, you're not responding to me yet, right? But I know that I'm going to connect with you soon. And my information is going to dig down into those roots and fertilize you. And I'm just willing to wait, right? Because that interpretation of that, right, feeds my construction, as opposed to saying, oh, something's wrong with me, I'm just no good. I don't need to do that anymore. That doesn't benefit me. That doesn't benefit me. That doesn't help me. And that doesn't lead to my construction. That's a deconstruction process. I don't need to deconstruct what I desire to be. Right? And so, and it always leaves you as a power role. Huh?
Yeah. And I said, and I love all the words you use when you're talking about when someone does something and how you internalize it. Because you say you, yours, me, I, because it's really not about them. It's not about them. It's about how you internalize, how you filter, how you define, how you see it. And if you don't like the way you see it, Like if someone literally gets on your nerves every time you talk to them, it is you, I promise. It is
It is
you.
you. It
Because
is you.
it wouldn't be anything if you weren't in the situation. So obviously it has something to do with you. So figure out what it is about you. Because it could be the fact that you haven't built up the backbone to tell that person that I don't want to talk to you no more. Like I
Exactly.
just don't want to talk to
Exactly.
you. Or it
Exactly.
could be that they remind you of someone. It could be that they've done you wrong and you haven't let go. You said you forgive them, but you didn't. It could be a whole plethora of things, but it is you. And we have to assume this responsibility because as soon as we assume it, that's when we get our power back.
That's when you
Our
get your power back. Our power back. Look, I do a meditation practice. And one of the parts of the meditation is two parts of the meditation practice. But one part of the meditation practice is to see somebody that you love and fill your heart with whatever. When you see that person makes you feel love. Sort of kind of imagine that you're filling your heart with love and spreading it all around the world. And of course, I'm using other people as And then one day I was like, okay, Sean. I was just in my silent meditation. What came through my mind, I said, okay, it's great that you're using all of this, your mom, your dad, people, your other people. But the thing that the person you're not seeming to use is yourself. So when you see yourself, are you filling yourself with love? And are you filling your entire body with love? And is that the love you're giving out? Right? So I had to start. So I said, okay, you know what? I need to see myself as filling myself with the love. So I started having this sort of, this untethered soul type of connection with myself. It's like, I'm going to look up to myself and send love. And then I'm going to look down to myself and receive love. And I got a constant flow of love. Just a constant flow, right? And then from there, I'm going to give out love, right? And then another part of the practice is to, it's a forgiveness practice, right? And so, of course, I go down the list, like all these people I need to forgive. Because they made me mad. They did me wrong, blah, blah, blah. So all these people, visualize. And then I said, you know what? I said, stop. Because that wasn't helping me move forward in me. And then, so one day I said, okay, Sean, who is it that you really need to forgive? If there was a forgiver, if you need to forgive something that's going to be the forgiver of all forgiveness, who would it be? And I said, Sean, you need to forgive yourself.
Yes.
You need to forgive your old self. You need to forgive your weaker self. You need to forgive your desperate self, right? Because I play all of these roles, right? That I no longer desire to play today, right? But yet those old roles keep pulling on me, right? Wanting me to come out and play, really. And it's like, okay, no, I have to forgive myself, right? Yes. So that I can then grow from this point forward, grow this person, right? But because I'm still dealing with the wounds that the desperate self created. See, sometimes people got to realize is that guy didn't break your heart. Your desperate self broke your heart, right?
You better get out.
That job didn't terminate you. Your unproductive self terminated you, right? And so a lot of times you want to be mad at them when in actuality it was that part of you, that version of you, right, that wasn't showing up in the greatness of you. So you got to forgive that. So now I'm working on that forgiveness practice of all of those versions of me that I am no longer, but still has weight and still have effect in my life.
Still has the memory,
Still has that memory, right? So now you want to go back down memory lane, and it's like, okay, but in order for me to do that, that means I got to be this weak person, and I don't want to be that. I ain't her, she ain't me no more, right?
That was then. This is now. Yes. So look, Michelle going off in the comments. She's like, girl. She said, you making me cry. Listen, you got this comment box on fire over here. They done told you to preach. They told you to speak. I think they said they were running around the house. I don't know. I think they're running. This has blessed so many people today. And again, y'all,
wonderful.
Like if you know someone who needs this, because we all know someone who needs this, because we can sense it in ourselves how universal this power is. and how individually we have to use it in order to
Yes.
collectively change this world that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
Because we can't just go out and change the world ourselves and be like, I'm going to be the one that changes the world. It's not that. It's I'm going to be the one that changes me, that's going to impact something in the world. And as I create impact, I will give other people permission to do the same thing. And it becomes a ripple effect. It really does become a
It
ripple
really
effect.
does. It
Yeah,
really
just
does.
like
Yeah.
the
And
alpha vibration, it catches,
it
and it
does.
brings like minds together, and then that
Yeah.
amplifies, and then they teach their children, they teach their children, and then the ratio starts to change,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's
that's
how the world changes.
yeah,
That's how the world
absolutely,
changes. That's how the
absolutely,
world, and I
yeah,
want the world to look more like a world of allowance, a world of growth, a world of beauty, however you want to see the world to be, you've got to start to work on that with yourself.
be the change you want to
Be the
see in the
change
world.
you want to see.
Truly,
But you know,
truly.
I just released my master class for free. You can actually take this master class. I based it off of Outwitting the Devil. It's for free. All you have to
Yeah,
do is go over to my website, freeyourthinkingmind.com, and then there's going to be a pop-up that says upcoming webinar. Just click on that. And the only thing that I require for you to take the webinar is for you to put your name and your email, and then it's a webinar. And I really think it's a very powerful webinar if you're at a place where you're ready to start to take authority and responsibility over your life, to create
yes,
what you would like to see in your life. It's like
right.
it's a ground level masterclass is what I call it, right?
Okay.
You're gonna be introduced to some things that you probably have never heard of, or if you did hear it, you didn't hear it in that way of the building blocks of it. And so I would, definitely go take it. It's free. I mean, it's a free webinar. So check it out.
Yes, and then let me put this pen up here. It's over here slow. That's her email address right there. If you want to get in touch with Sean Speaks, please reach out to her. Sean at
Thinking mind.
freeyourthinkingmind.com.
Yep. Yep. And if
And
you
then
want to take the
also,
webinar,
yes, and I'll also put her link tree. I was trying to get it done while you were talking, but I was like, you know what? Just chill. We can put it in there. I felt myself like my face got hot. I was like, why am I doing this? Like, these are the moments. And it's those little things that creates momentum, because there's a lot of big things in life that, we haven't quite wrapped our minds around how to change it or settle it. We have to start with the little things. Just
the
like me
little
trying to
things.
hurry up and do that, and I knew it was unnecessary, and I knew I could
Yeah.
choose something different than the resistance I was feeling, the pressure of trying to put that in the comments. I could do that afterwards. It's
But see,
those
that's
little
that's
things
noticing that though.
that matter.
Noticing that you notice that, right? And
Hmm.
that's what people don't understand. When you start to notice, it's like you can arrest. Now you're in control. You can
Yeah,
notice yourself about to
yeah,
go on a spinning, like you're about to spin out of control. Like,
yeah.
wait a minute, you know what? I'm about
Great
to go
awareness.
off. Create awareness, right? And let me tell you what that's going to do. It's going to help you in your relationships. It's going to help
Hmm.
you in your business. It's going to help
Hmm.
you in your money. It's going to help you in every aspect, because you're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. I see myself about to lose it. Okay, what am I going to
Hmm.
lose it for, right?
Hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I don't need to lose control over that. It's going to give you emotional stability. One of the things that I would write in my journal is, I want to increase or improve my emotional stability, because I felt so emotional unstable sometimes. It's like I went from really being really, really high to really, really low. It got
Mhm.
so bad here before we get off.
Yeah,
It
you
got so
right.
bad. It got so bad that I literally went and checked myself in the hospital.
Really.
It got that's how bad it got, because that high, I went from high to low to high to low. It was just crazy. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was
Yeah.
crazy. And I just wanted emotional stability. And it took years. It wasn't like I just, it took
Yeah.
years afterwards for
Yeah.
me to finally, but through the deconstruction process, right? It's through
Right.
getting information about things that helped me to allow me to be me,
Right. Yeah.
So
That's what it
because
is.
that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. Because in that, and when you get that aware, just like you're going to the hospital, that alone is awareness. Okay, something's not right. You may not have been able to pinpoint it at that moment, but at that moment, awareness was happening. And like we
Yeah.
can't discredit any moment of awareness. So your moment of awareness might be that I'm about to choke this lady, and I know that that's not going to be a good outcome. Your awareness point could be, I don't really need to go get, that food or whatever it is that you've been trying to put down and not do as much. It's that moment. It could be, just something simple as something that you said you was going to do, and you're like, I don't want to go to that baby shower. I use that a
Yeah.
lot because I don't like baby showers. I
At
don't know
least you
what
know
it
that about
is.
yourself.
I don't know. But just little things. Because the more we practice being aware, the more we get to practice our power. The more we practice our
Mm,
power, the more centered we get to back to who we really are, because we're realizing that we're making decisions based on what we want to do, not what
yes.
everybody told us to do
Exactly.
or told us was right for us. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
And when it's your decision, you have nothing to feel guilty about. See, this is
Mhm.
why I keep telling people, this is why I don't get caught up on the guilt free. I call it the guilt forgiveness cycle, but I don't get caught up on that anymore. Because if I do something, I did it. I take
Mhm.
responsibility for it. If it didn't turn out quite the way I would have wanted it to, I learn my lesson from that and I move on. That's why I don't really see things in a good or bad or right and wrong type scenario, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when I start to see it in I did something right or I did something wrong, then wrong implies that I'm supposed to feel guilty about it. Right. And then
Right.
if I'm supposed to feel guilty about it, then guilt, how we've been taught now, implies that I'm supposed to seek forgiveness about it. And then if I have to
Right.
seek forgiveness about it, right, then I'm worried about, okay, am I forgiven? Then I don't know whether or not I'm
Right.
forgiven or not, right? We can
Right.
debate that. But then what's going to happen? I'm going to end up doing something again. And then if I
Mhm.
use it, if the way I construct life is in this right or wrong construct, then
Mhm.
I'm going to always do something wrong. And if wrong in the construct means that I'm supposed to feel guilty about it,
Right.
then guilt is going to require me
Vicious.
to then have to seek forgiveness, and it's a cycle.
Vicious.
It's a vicious cycle that one day when I really noticed that I had fallen off the cycle, it's
Mhm.
like I realized I was dizzy. I was
Re-
like, man, I have been dizzy for a long time,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Dizzy
Because I
from the
always
guilt
reach
forgiveness
for
cycle.
those moments. I always have to, yeah, because you can feel that once you have been out of the dizziness and you start to feel yourself sucking back into it. I just be still, calm your mind, try to think nothing, and just breathe. Focus on the first sound. That's my thing, and that's the tip I offer anybody. Focus on the first sound you hear.
Yeah,
Is it a horn blowing outside? Are the birds chirping? Is the refrigerator humming? Is the fan on? Close your eyes, pick a sound, focus only on that, and it will calm you every time. It
every
will calm
time.
you every time. Now, when you ain't gonna open your eyes and the problem be gone. So don't send me no inbox saying, "Girl, I shut my eyes and I was listening to the refrigerator and I opened my eyes and I still had a problem." I'm not saying that, but it will put you in a state to where you can think more clear because you're not succumbed by the emotions. But now you
Exactly.
can step back and look at the emotions that you have. Okay, I felt anger, I felt hurt, and I felt a little bit of shame. I don't want to put these things back inside of me. And once you can look at them from that vantage point, you realize
Mm-hmm.
the emotions are not you. And then you can realize, what emotion do I want to feel? And if that takes you blasting the music and dancing for the next half hour, replace that with good emotions, with feeling good. With like the other day, oh my God, the other day I was in a mood and I was like, I need to
Mm.
laugh. And I put on some Ricky Smiley prank calls. Honey, I thought I was gonna bust a gut up in here.
Hey, sometimes you need that.
Yeah, and I was like, I just need to laugh. And that's what
Yep.
I did. And my day turned around. It's because I wasn't giving energy to the things that made me feel any type of negative emotion. And I gave all of my attention to anything that would make me feel happy. That's not a vice, of course. And then I replace, I take a different end of the stick.
Let me tell you
I'll
something.
take a different end of the stick.
I will take that a little bit further, right? I
Absolutely.
will say that, and this just happened to me about a week or so ago, where I just was feeling very emotional. I just wanted to cry. So
Hmm.
instead of fighting the crying,
Mhm.
I just spent the day crying until I didn't have any cry left in me.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
So
Oh
I
yeah.
had started the day and I was like, why are you crying, Sean? What? What is it? So I just like, okay, just let it out. Just cry.
Good.
Just cry. Just
Yes.
cry. And so I just
Yes.
cried. I just cried and
Mm.
and then I said, okay, and then I just went running. Right?
Right.
I shifted not but I could have spent the day fighting, right? And then
Right.
or I could have said, I feel like I want to cry, and then I could have fought the crying or felt bad about it. Then I could have gotten into depression. I could have done that. And I'm not, and then you sometimes you do, right?
Yeah.
But instead I said, I'm not gonna fight it. I'm just gonna cry. I'm just gonna,
Right.
I know why I want to cry. Just cry. And if you want to spend all day crying, cry, right? And then but at the same time, I knew if there were things that I needed to do that day or things that I wanted to do to be able to push some things forward. So
Mm-hmm.
even if I had to cry doing those things, it was okay.
Right.
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 So you put
Yeah.
some music on in the background and say, you know what,
Yeah.
I want to feel it. And I actually I wasn't trying to fight it. I was like, I want to feel it all. I want to feel every feeling. I want to feel every hurt. I want to feel all of the pain. I want to feel it. Feel it and explore it and let that be the blueprint, because that's that one thing that I have that
Yeah.
is uniquely mine,
Yeah.
is that feeling to my environment. Right?
Yeah.
And then and let me construct from there.
Mm.
And that's what
Mm.
I did. So silly.
One more time before we got out here. Yes, yes, yes. Listen,
Oh,
I
you're
hope
so
that this
silly.
has blessed everybody the way he has blessed me. Michelle over there crying. I think Ryan raising the roof. Angel, I know Angel done told you to break down, speak, preach it 10 times. uh, Roslyn going off, Ray Mail going off. I know Lori probably done cut a jig shout and she's crying. Antoinette Marie praising. Oh, listen, this has been good. This has been really,
Good.
and I
Thank
don't mean
you.
that just because it's my show. I mean that because this is the type of conversations that need to be happening. Because the things that happen, the people that come and go, they are so interchangeable, and we really need to understand this because nothing at all lasts forever. It's, but what we really need to realize is that we have all of the power, all of it.
All
And
of it.
that's not, most people are like, well, what about God? That's why.
You
That's
Yeah,
why
see,
we have it all.
this is the thing that get, and I everybody that know me, follow me, I don't even use those terms. But if you do, right, to me, you should be even more, right, responsible,
Yeah,
right, even more. That's what gets me with it now.
right,
And I looked at it's like, how do you say you have this belief, but yet you don't have more?
right.
And I think it's because society has you built into a guilt forgiveness cycle. If
Right.
you're so busy asking for forgiveness for being
Yeah.
you,
Right.
while other people are out there creating, and that's what I started seeing. I'm so
Right.
caught up, right, beating myself up about being me, beating myself
Right.
up because I like this, or I want to do this, or I did that last night.
Right.
I'm so caught up trying to get forgiveness for that, while
Right.
other people are out there creating life. And then
Right.
by the time I wake up from the dizziness, right, now I'm subject to a whole new world.
Right.
I want
Yeah.
to play a part in what the world. If I'm going to be subject to the world, let me at least play a part in the role I'm gonna play.
Come
Right,
on. Yes.
right,
Yeah.
and that's to me. If you're gonna have a God power, that God power released all the power to you. So why are
Mhm.
you stuck in guilt forgiveness? See, I don't want. I could preach on that because I used to be a preacher. I could preach on that, right? I could, but I'm not. I'm not gonna go there. We've been going over an hour, right?
Look, don't make me have to be continued next Sunday because we
God.
Because sis, I think they need to hear that too. So,
I mean, come on. I mean, at the end of the day, that should expand you. That means you got
right,
the play. The earth is your playground. The universe is your playground, right? So while you over there stuck on guilt forgiveness, other people going to Mars, right?
Right.
And then by the time you finish guilt and forgiving yourself, they'll be on Mars and they're going to sell you a moon rock. And you're going to be like, ooh, this is a moon rock, right? What the hell? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You
Let
can
me.
say what the hell. We closer than that. We closer than that.
But but
Oh,
that's what started to happen with me, right? Is I started to really dive deep in information. And I was like, and this is a personal thing for me. I literally was like, okay, Sean, am I not smart enough? Am I not intelligent enough?
mm-hmm.
Why is it that all of the great ideas are not coming to me? They're out in the world, but they're not coming to me. They're not coming to even people that look like me for the most part, right? And I said, okay, what is it that we do more than maybe other people, right? We stay stuck on that which isn't productive, right?
Yeah.
It's not productive for me to be guilty about something that I did yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
or to be guilty about something that I know I'm going to do tomorrow, just
Yeah.
so that I can stay in the guilt for, because a lot of us, we want to stay in the guilt forgiveness cycle. There's something we think that is great about it, right? It's something righteous about it, right? But then what ended up happening is that they go out and they are creating life, right? They're creating new worlds. They're creating computers that you now have to live by, and phones that you now have to live by, right? And then by the time you kind of wake up from your dizziness, you're subjected to a new life,
Right.
right? And what you realize is that you're subjected to their imagination,
Yep.
while your imagination is stuck on the guilt forgiveness cycle.
Right. Right.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to free your imagination.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that the reason the trap is so effective is because we don't look past what we see. And that's why it's so important for me to build a different definition of community. Because part of the problem is when you are stuck in a community and the only thing that you see is the only thing you ever see, you don't realize how many other things there is to see or to take in or to acknowledge. And when you are stuck seeing the same thing every time, all the time, because that was me. I didn't want to go outside of Shelby, North Carolina because it frightened me. Because I was so good in Shelby, North Carolina. I was the basketball star. I was the preacher's kid. I was the one that had the last house on the dead end road where all the kids came to play. I was the one that had the two coolest brothers on the block. I was the one that had the sassy sister that everybody was friends with. I was the one that had the mom and dad who was over the church and did the sales and the yard sales and the car washes and the bake sales and all of these things. I was okay with that. But it was because I had never knew anything else. I never knew anything else. So because my world that I had, that I was subject to, was so
Mm-hmm.
good in my eyes, I thought that it was the best vision that I was going to have. So I held on to that because it felt good to me at the time. But everything that felt good to me was told to me was good.
Exactly. It wasn't uniquely your good.
It wasn't my good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
left for college, I came back once. And when I came back that one time is the one time that I attempted suicide. And if that was
Mm.
enough to tell me, then I don't know what else would be. And that is how smothering it could be when you get a taste of true freedom and power and realize that you can create your life and take it. That's when you really want to create it to be the way you want it to be, because not walking in that power is just a very long, strung out suicide.
That's all it is. You're just dying living. You're
You
just
are.
dying. You're just dying
You are.
alive. That's the best way to say it. You're
You
just dying alive. And many, 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 many very religious people, because I used to be one, are dying alive
Yeah.
because they are so, we are so, because I used to be one of them,
Mm-hmm.
so trying to live up under this barrier that's really not even real, right?
Right.
And we actually, and this is what happens. You already know that you're gonna do what you asked for forgiveness for last week, right? You already know you're gonna do it, but you feel so bad about it before you even do it, and because you did it, then you get
Right.
stuck, right? You're either going to say 20 Hail Marys, you're going to pray all day, you're going to beat yourself, you're going to slash yourself, you're going to talk about yourself, and you have to really think about it. The reason why you're talking bad about yourself is because somebody told you not to do something that you want to do. And what I
Right.
think what has happened is you confine your life to the words of others
Right.
instead of really being in tune with your chemical response to your interaction in life, right? I actually think that there's many very, very, very wealthy people who are not wealthy because they have tied the definition of wealth to
Absolutely.
money, to dollar bills, right? When you can
Yeah.
detach from money and wealth being dollar bills, you can
Mm.
have a wealthy lifestyle no matter how much actual cash you got coming in your hand, right?
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
it's like breath. You said something just a second ago that was so powerful that most people will not catch.
Mm.
When you can come to take the responsibility of living your life, and you also come to realization that you have the power to take your life,
Oh yeah.
right? When you can come to that, you could take your, now whether you want to say that's bad or good, I don't have to debate that because I see good and bad as a coin. They're the same as far as I'm concerned. Just depending on what side of the coin I'm flipping it on, and does it
Right.
serve me? But at the end of the day, you have that power. So if you have that power, why not live the best life
Woo.
you possibly can? Do
Absolutely.
you all day, right?
Okay.
Do you all day. Show
Yeah.
up. Yes, yes in it,
I'm
right?
gonna,
Like
I'm
listen
gonna
to yes, yes in
for
it.
the rest of the day. I'm gonna go in the store. They're like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm good. I'm good.
No, this has been
Oh
great. Oh
God,
my
this has
goodness,
been
this has been
so
great.
great. Oh, this has been so great. Like I don't even
Yes.
think they want us to get off. Usually they're like, all right, we'll see y'all. They don't even be checking. They still chatting in the messages. Like, yes, they are. Yeah, we gonna
It's
come back to I'm gonna come back to every single one of these comments because I can't wait to see what y'all have said. This has been good, Sean. I really appreciate you. I know
Thank you for having me.
you are one of those types of people that I know I'm being validated that I'm on the right path. It's when I meet people like you in moments like I met you and have conversations immediately the way we had a conversation. And it just completely aligns with where both of us are on this journey right now. And the beauty of that is I know that you feel the same way. And if we literally never talk again, we both know that this has been kismet. It's been
Exactly.
good. It's been so good. But I know we're gonna talk again because I'm gonna
Oh
talk
yeah,
about
oh yeah, oh
I'm gonna
yeah,
talk
oh
about
yeah.
this
Oh
tomorrow.
yeah, we gotta go into the clubhouse. I can't wait.
Friday on Clubhouse.
Friday on Clubhouse.
Again, y'all, if y'all on Clubhouse, follow us both. I'll put your handle in the comments when we get done too. And then I'll
Put
drop the link tree in there too. So
perfect,
y'all, thank
perfect,
you so
perfect.
much for rocking with us all day. It's been an hour and a half and y'all still rolling. I love y'all. I appreciate that attentiveness because y'all came to get what was yours today. There's no mistake
Exactly,
that you were on this live today. There's no mistake that your eyes have been opened and you cannot unsee what you have seen today about yourself. Don't try to
exactly,
change that. Just walk into your own uniqueness, your own ethnicity, your own uniqueness, all of those things. That too, I mean, you don't have a choice on that one. But really be uniquely who you are and just follow those instincts, follow your gut. If it doesn't feel right, ask yourself why. That means you don't do
explore
it.
it.
Yeah, because sometimes it means you need to do it when it don't feel right because you're not used to doing things that you haven't been doing. But
Exactly,
ask yourself that. Don't take it upon other people to tell you what you should do with your body, your mind, your path, your future, all of these things. You take every experience you have, make the best decision you can based on what you feel is right for you. Period.
exactly,
That is
exactly. Be your greatest confidant. Be your greatest confidant to yourself. To
Yes.
yourself.
All
Yeah.
right. So is there any
Thank
last
you.
nugget you want to drop other than that before we get off here and tell everybody
Uh,
bye for real?
No, just just definitely go over to my website at freeyourthinkingmind.com. Check my blogs out. Check me out on YouTube at ShonSpeaks. I got a lot. I dropped a ton. I didn't realize how much content I dropped in 2020. So if you want to get to know me, you want to get to know my journey, go over to Sean Speaks on YouTube. I took my blogs and turned them to a blogcast, or go over to Free Your Thinking Mind and read if you like to read. But you can get to know me, and I truly know that at the same time of you getting to know the processes that I went through, it's going to register for you, and you're going to take your own processes and you're going to
Yes.
grow, and you can just step into being you. Because let me tell you something, when you start being you, you are not worried about anybody else, right? Because you got your eye on the prize of being your best self.
Yes.
And that's what I'm all
Absolutely.
about.
Yes. So
Yes.
before we get off here, one more time.
You're so sad.
All right, guys. Y'all enjoy your day. Namaste. I love you. I see you.
Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe. We will see
Ashe.
y'all next time.